Good morning. Quick video. 6:58 Monday morning. Short week. So I've been having a couple thoughts going through my head as of late. Um, it's been interesting. Certain quotes uh, irritate irritate me to all the heavenlies. It's too much at some point. Some of the things that we say and we believe and we base our actions upon are wrong. Are wrong. Um, I would even dare to say objectively wrong. Um, Universal in nature. So, a couple of things. I want to talk about why I'm not an optimist. uh, so my feelings on this are they're backwards because what's good, Lucas? I'm gonna start saying what's good, y'all. So my feelings on optimism are twofold. One of them would be that happy people irritate me, but then I have the other view where I enjoy the vibes of the ignorant hippies. If that makes sense. Um, there's something innocent. There's something freeing about someone who is just oblivious to the war that is happening right next to them, like literally 2 feet away. They have no clue what's going on around them. It's freeing in a sense, but then you have those people that blindly walk into the woods because it's such a beautiful day and get mauled by a bear. Like you have to have some type of balance. And the question is, where do you find that balance between being free and just doing and living life to the fullest and all these beautiful quotes of just blind happiness, life. And then you have the other half where you actually survive long enough to enjoy it. You don't get killed by the first excursion you go on. So a couple things. Um, First of all, let's start with some definitions because as I think about certain arguments I will make, you first have to define what you're defending or what you're, asserting. Optimism is defined as hopefulness and confidence about the future or the successful outcome of something. Now, what it doesn't say is that you're ignoring the opposite side. It just says your focus is on the good outcome that's potentially available to you. Now we have pessimism that is defined as a tendency to see the worst aspect of things or belief that the worst will happen, a lack of hope or confidence in the future. By no means am I a pessimist. By no means. Um, there's no way you can be successful by focusing only on the negative. But you still have to add the negative aspect into your equation when you make a decision. There's no way you can ignore either side, which brings us to our last definition of realism. The attitude or practice of accepting a situation as it is and being prepared to deal with it accordingly. It's beautiful, beautiful. Realism. This brings us to wisdom. This brings us to, long-term quality decision making. Nothing irritates me more than hearing the ignorant speak on a mistake they made when you could have asked a question. You drive down the road, you will see 1,000 signs that are purely just warnings. Yield, stop, slow down, speed limit, 2 miles here, exit here, watch out for this. Your phone will constantly beep at you, object on the road, slow down ahead, traffic this way. And somehow we still get accidents. It's amazing. So, realism is what I really want to get to as far as how to equate realism to your life, how to practice positive, quality, long-term decision making, decisions that will not come back to get you later. That's where we run into regret. Regret can be something that comes back to get you, or it can be something that you did not do, and now you're looking back and you don't have the opportunity to go and do it now. We want to avoid regret. That's the whole point. One of my favorite quotes by an optimist, whoever said it was stupid. That which doesn't kill you will make you stronger. Who came up with this? came up with this? Probably an evolutionist, most likely. Um, there's a term called, vestigial organs. Basically speaking to the fact that you have parts of your body that are there because of evolution and you don't need it anymore. You're born with it, it's part of your anatomy as a human being, um, but you don't need it. They speak to like there's a part of your pelvis that is completely vestigial. You don't need it. Well, that's cool. But if that's true, then that would assume that most of your limbs are vestigial. Because if you're speaking to simply surviving, if you're speaking to simply living in this world, most of what you have is, by their definition, vestigial. So if this quote is true, that which doesn't kill you makes you stronger. That means you can cut off all your limbs, pull out your eyes. What else can you lose? You can, I guess, one of your kidneys. You can take one of those out. Basically, you can live on life support, and that defeats the purpose of the term that we all know and love, being quality. Quality. Why do we have? Why do we make decisions that are simply there's no grounding in it? If I lose both my arms, am I stronger? The whole point being, is that there are things that we say that, I went through this experience, I took an L. The question is, was it avoidable? I have these arguments all the time about entering relationships and just going with the flow and just making decisions and let love guide you and, follow your heart. You can't plan around that. That's like your boss telling you work harder. How do you enforce that? You can't tell someone run faster. Come on. Do more. Try your hardest. Give your all to someone. Just love passionately. You can't measure these things. So yes, they are, relevant in terms of we have to acknowledge the fact that I can do more. But then we have to arrive at some point at a standard, at a measurement. Not saying that science governs the entire world because it simply measures what is. But I'm saying at some point you have to arrive at some form of an absolute truth that governs everything else. Like love is absolute in nature. Now there's many definitions and a lot of people have, reduced it down to a simple, I looked at you, you looked at me across the food court and now we're in love. All right. Well, it is what it is. But at the end of the day, absolute truth is what we have to arrive at. Absolute, something as universal, does not change. So yeah, that quote drives me nuts. So yeah, optimism, pessimism, realism. We want to be making decisions based off the real world, based off, dare I say, a red pill reality, a truth. A truth. One of my favorite terms, one of my greatest concepts that, I've simply embraced wholeheartedly. Antifragility. Antifragility. So every time I mention this term, I always forget the first term that goes with it. One of the underlying definitions. Robust. So antifragility has basically three underlying concepts as well. Robust, meaning that you are unaffected. You're unaffected. The best example would be a rock, a piece of gravel. It's unaffected by its environment. Yes, it will erode, based on its environment and whatnot. But in terms of if you try to hit it, it's not going to get stronger because you hit it. And it probably won't break unless you're obviously using a material that is stronger in nature, such as a diamond. It's not going to break. So I guess a diamond will be the best example of something that is robust. It does not benefit from its environment. Stress being placed upon it. It doesn't go stronger because of it. Then you have fragile, something we all know. It's always marked on someone's package. It's fragile. Do not place too much stress on this object. Keep this in an environment or keep it in a place where it has, zero potential energy. that does not lend itself to kinetic energy and break. And then you have anti-fragile, where when you place stress upon something, it only benefits. It only gets stronger. The opposite of fragile is not robust. It's anti-fragile. If you look at a graph, it goes up. You put stress on it, the more stress you put on it, it gets better, it gets stronger. A good example will be a muscle. Assuming that the proper form is being utilized, the more stress you place on a muscle, the stronger it gets. I was about to say immune system, but yeah, that's subjective. So, when it comes to realism, you want to focus on making decisions that are anti-fragile in nature. You want to see the world from a realistic standpoint, not, being romantic in your decision making, not saying, oh, because the car color was blue, I bought it, I paid cash for it right now. You never looked under the hood. You never checked the tires. You never, pulled the background on the car, the Carfax. You just bought it because you liked the color of it. That's reckless. That's reckless. That irritates me to high hell to hear people just making blind decisions because they felt like it was a good decision. It looked cool. I like the color. I saw myself posting that on Instagram, so it was just the right. I had to do it. Yes, I'm crazy amounts in debt, but I had to have it. Based off what? Survival? Your betterment? Investment? The experiences you seek should be anti-fragile in nature, meaning that yes, you need the experience. You can't just have nothing but theory. You can't just study and read books and just, I'm gonna watch this YouTube video, I'm gonna listen to a podcast, and then I'm gonna. That's what I live off that's what I base my life off of. At some point, you have to try it. At some point, you have to do. And when you do, ensure that your actions are anti-fragile, meaning you benefit from this long term. Some mistakes, are immediately fatal. You don't get another try. Some would say that in the military, you don't get second chances with, failing your P test. Bro, you got cocaine in your system? Who knows? Some mistakes are immediately fatal. You don't get to recover from that. So ensure that when you seek experience, when you seek, a response from the universe, when you do something and now obviously you're waiting for a consequence to come back, make sure that you can predict that consequence and that does not kill you when it gets back. You see in the news every day that some people made decisions that are coming back to get them years later. Years later, when they weren't prepared for it. When they weren't expecting it, it came back to, here's your harvest from the seed you planted. Now we're dealing with regret. The video I was going to make instead of this one was the number one mistake that I made while joining the Air Force. But I kind of saw that as not being a great return on investment for a video that will probably be 20 minutes long. So I decided to throw it in this one. But this goes along with our topic of realism. Realism, not optimism, not pessimism, but, acknowledging the real world, acknowledging what is true, and acting upon that. The number one mistake I made joining the Air Force was signing a 6-year contract. The number one mistake I made. The number one mistake I made was signing a 6-year contract and not a 4. The job doesn't matter as far as finance is concerned, or let's say I got security forces, it wouldn't have mattered. Signing a 6-year contract was the number one mistake I made. Now, the reasoning behind that would be, and it goes along with realism as far as making decisions that benefit you long term, and then acknowledging how time affects your mind. If you look at, what's it called? Matter of fact, let me look it up real quick. There's a road in Australia. Let me see. Yeah, so there's a road in Australia, and it's called the Bruce Highway. Yeah, the Bruce Highway. It's considered the most dangerous of all roads in Australia and was named in the UK's driving experiences 22 deadliest roads in the world. Now, the reason I bring this up is because it's lacking in one thing. This has nothing to do with the road itself. It's philosophical in nature. It's beautiful. It's poetic. It lacks turbulence. That road, the only reason why it's dangerous, I watched it on a documentary years ago. The only reason why that road is dangerous is because it lacks turbulence. It lacks turns. It's a straight line. It's a straight line that goes for hundreds of miles through the desert. And that's the only reason why it's dangerous, is because it lacks stimuli. Nothing acts upon it outside of the wildlife, possibly the weather. But on a clear day, it's dangerous as all get out. The mind needs stimuli. If you hop on that road and it's just endless, obviously you're going to have some fun. You're going to speed. You're going to see how fast your car can go. You're going to stop a little bit, go use the bathroom. But for the most part, you're on cruise control, just staring at white lines past you. And what happens? You fall asleep. Maybe not, actually asleep, but your mind will disengage. And that's the issue with 6-year contracts in the Air Force. Because there are stretches, this is beautiful, there are stretches of your 6-year contract where there will be zero turbulence. I would argue it happens right after you finish your CDCs. Provided you don't get orders, provided you're not going on TDY a ton, or you may not be deployed. If you are at your station just simply doing your job for however long it takes to do your job until your next checkpoint, you are on the most dangerous road, philosophically speaking. Meaning, you will get bored, you will disengage, you will forget to do the things that you know you need to be doing in order to get to the next checkpoint and to succeed at the next checkpoint. Hence why when PT tests come up, we scrambled the last 2 weeks. Because we were disengaged for all that time until we got to a checkpoint. Checkpoint ahead, mandatory PT test. How will you do? This is the issues that we're dealing with in terms of the mental stresses that we're witnessing. People are killing themselves. One thing I noticed last week, and this ties into my next couple points, was doing the simple things. Doing what is right in front of me is all that is required in terms of long-term enduring this stretch of non-turbulence, if you will. Something interesting I noticed on Instagram a while back, and recently, of course. Pay attention to when you're bored. This is quite intriguing. Pay attention to when you're bored. Very rarely in your Air Force career will you ever be bored. Obviously, depending on your career field. In my line of work, in my opinion, I feel that certain times when you're bored is a blessing. It's a blessing. It's rare. It's rare to be bored in the military. Most jobs, it's rare to be bored, but it's a blessing to be bored. Because the rest of the time usually is stress. It's stress. It should be stress. It should be stress. Be grateful for those times where nothing's happening, where you're able to. I was speaking to a friend last week, and she just got to her base and she doesn't have accesses. She's just doing simply trainings, doesn't have any responsibilities in terms of leadership over other people or whole programs being handed to her. Enjoy these times of peace, of calm, of you're not responsible for anything. You may just have your CDCs, but be grateful for those times where it's just It's just peace. If you're civilian and you find yourself kind of bored, you're on one of those long stretches of life where it's just nothing really happening. It's just day in, day out. You go to work, you come home, go to sleep, go to gym, go to movies, go home, go to sleep, go to work. You're on one of those stretches. You're on one of those stretches where it's kind of dangerous, where a lot of checkpoints could be created. That's something that speaks to creating change in your life. That speaks to the 4-year contract where change happens a lot more quicker. I need to get back to that point. Change happens a lot more quickly when you're on a 4-year contract, meaning you can cross train earlier. You have a lot more options a lot earlier when you're on a 4-year contract. Now you do have limitations that you will encounter as far as you may not be able to accept a certain assignment because you're on a 4-year contract. You don't have enough retainability in the military to accept certain assignments. You might have to extend or re-enlist, but those are options. Options. The mistake I made was choosing money over options because money comes with options. Why would you choose something? It's like choosing a meal over a buffet. You get the same meal. You just got to put it together on the buffet and then you can create other things. So by coming in 6 years, the only thing I gained by that is money. The rest of it was, in my opinion, diminishing returns. I promoted quicker. And what is the difference between E5 and E3? Money and responsibility. One of those things, in my opinion, it benefits me long term, but if you're not experienced, if you don't want the responsibility, if you don't like this career field, obviously these definitions or these reasonings are subjective in nature, but you get the point. I made a decision coming into the military based on the fact that I will have more money at E3 than I would at E1, E2, etc. Never choose money over options. Never choose money over time unless you're spending money to get more time back. I just filled my fridge up with so many clean eating dinner meals, frozen dinner meals. Why? Because I save money and I gain convenience, and it takes away my need to make a decision. It just works. It just works. I've been all over the place. So yeah, 4-year contracts over 6. Take the 4. Take the 4. Take the 4. I would dare even plug this in there. When it comes to omit that. What else we got? So yeah, make changes quickly. If you don't have turbulence in your life, you need to create it. If you do not have changes happening quickly to you, if you don't have stimuli happening upon your person, you need to create the stimulus. You need to create the changes in your life. What happens if you don't? You face regret. Because those long stretches of time, such as the highway that I referenced, they lead to regret. When you have long periods of time where there's nothing, there's no growth, there's no pain, there's no stimuli, there's no stressors, it leads to regret. Yes, you're in a good place, you're at peace, you're calm. That's good for a season, that's good for a measure. That's good for, a couple of days. But if that's your lifestyle and that's been happening for years, that's going to lead to regret. Guaranteed. No one gets to their deathbed and looks back and says, I wish I had more downtime to do nothing. They look back and say, I wish I would did. I wish I would have did. I wish I did differently. This is why whenever I get some free money, which is every check, because I planned it that way, I buy plane tickets. I change environments as often as I can. Any 3-day or 4-day weekend, I will be on a plane or on a road trip in a different city because I have to create the changes I want to see. They don't send me to TDY every weekend. Hardly at all. I have to ask. It has to be something that is necessary for the unit. So I have to be very deliberate with, do you travel in the Air Force? Yes, when I plan it. I have to plan these things. What else we got? Focus on the process, not the outcome. The process. Ask the question, what must I do right now to be successful long term? This is speaking to realism. Realism is focusing on right now. Optimism is focused on the outcome. Pessimism is focused on the outcome. Realism focuses on your present moment. I constantly say this, tomorrow does not exist. It's only in your mind. And when you get to tomorrow, you're going to automatically, without thinking, rename it today. You've never woke up in tomorrow, ever. Doesn't happen. Focus on right now. Focus on this very moment. I'm making a video right now. This is my only focus. My laundry's going, I think it just stopped, but I'm not getting up to go do laundry. I'm focusing on this current moment. What happens when you're able to focus? You can give max effort. And max effort doesn't control the outcome. It controls how you feel about the outcome. It controls your mindset. So when you fail, because it's going to happen, if you fail, you can sleep at night knowing I tried. I tried. I just watched the fight between John Jones and Reyes, and effort. You can tell by the blood and the amount of punches thrown and jabs and the replay. You can see effort being displayed. The outcome, somebody has to lose. Somebody has to lose. But as long as your work was right, as long as your preparation, your effort in the moment, while you're in that ring, you're not focused on nothing else. No outstanding foolishness going on, your family life, all that matters. But right now, my only focus is in the ring and what I'm doing right now. Now you can put max effort, all your thoughts, all your focus. You're saying no to everything else. You're putting all your focus right into this moment. My next point goes perfectly with this. Something I made myself do and I'm making myself do as we speak. When I get to work, this is what I do. I make myself do two things. Number one, take lunch. Take lunch. I'm no longer allowed to work through lunch. This is self-imposed. This is self-regulation. Not for my supervisor. This is me. I will take lunch, 1 hour lunch, and I will not be doing finance. I will not have my computer on. I will not be looking at emails. I will not be looking at regulations. I will be taking lunch. Take my headphones downstairs or go sit at another desk, but I need to do something that is not lunch so I can focus on something else. Simply take my mind off of it and go watch YouTube. Go watch one of my old videos. Go answer comments. Do something else besides finance so I can have some contrast, so I can have something different. Again, this speaks to changing environments quickly, making changes quickly, creating more change in your life. I have an 8-hour span of a day. 8 hours, and obviously I work way more than 8 hours per day, but I have 8 hours basically to make it through. 40 hours a week. And so in a lot of ways, that at 8 hours is like that most dangerous, that's like Bruce Highway. That's like the most dangerous road in Australia, arguably the world. It's just an endless amount of time that I have to put my mind on something. Well, your mind needs a break sometimes. Second thing, walk slowly. Subjective, I know. How fast is slow? How slow is slow? Walk slower than I normally walk. Your body knows how fast you walk. Your mind knows how fast you walk. So just do it slowly, slower. So when I'm walking to the lobby, when I'm walking to the bathroom, when I'm walking to a window just to look out, slow down. You're not racing the person walking slow in front of you. If they drive slow, if they walk slow, stay behind them. Why? Because it makes you appreciate little things. It gives your mind a break from stop competing, stop racing. All you're doing is raising your your hormones up. You're just constantly on 10. Just slow down. Where are you going? Slow down. Adrenaline cannot constantly be on 10. It's not adrenaline anymore if it's always up here. It needs to drop. So when you're in that flight or fight response time. When it's time to make a decision such as that, now you can have adrenaline to assist you where it's needed. Same thing with stimulants. Caffeine needs to be in the mornings. That's it. That's it. What else we got? So yeah, take your lunch, walk slowly, slow down, have a conversation, look out a window. Focus on now. Realism. What do I need to do right now to be long-term successful? Don't focus on the outcome. Don't focus on, oh, it might be a positive or negative outcome. Focus on the moment, and that automatically affects the outcome. You focus on right now, that automatically affects the end. That works both ways. You make a bad decision now, that automatically affects the end. Yeah, this video's been long enough, so I'm gonna let these last couple things go. Realism, people. Moral of the story: focus on right now. Whatever you need to do right now to be successful, do that thing. I took all my goals off my whiteboard and I put one. And at times I add more up there just because it's short term. It's something I need to do today or something. Or I was in the shower and I took some notes on my phone. But in terms of what I wake up to, it's conceptual. It's conceptual. This is what we're focusing on. This is what we need to put our energy into. Say no to everything else. Schedule your day out. Schedule what time you're going to go to bed. Schedule what time you wake up. You know? Times like this where we're on the long stretch of just endless highway and we're exhausted, we're tired. Nothing new is happening. We haven't got no orders. You know, the overseas assignment listing dropped a couple days ago and I was first one on it. But what happens if I don't get it? What happens if I get stuck? You know, they say, no, you're going to stay. You can stay at the Pentagon. Stay put. Well, what then? What then? Plan. Put more effort into contingency. Meaning not that you have all these plan Bs and plan Cs, but you know, be adjustable, be adaptable. Don't let the first stress that happens to you knock you off your path completely. Not you're just sitting in the gutter. Life is long, people. Life is long. That's the video. Say what's good to your boy. Hope this brought some value to you. Hope you're able to benefit from this. Hope you're able to apply this. Be encouraged. Be encouraged. A lot of people are struggling out here. You're not alone. We all struggle in our own ways. Trust me. But you'll be all right. You'll be all right. The things that you think are so insurmountable, you know, things that are just, your life is so bad. It's not. It's not. I posted on Twitter yesterday, we suffer more in imagination than in reality. Don't let your mind talk you into being in a bad space. Don't let your mind take over the narrative. I would dare to say there's two parts of your mind. There's the mind that runs your involuntary functions. It runs your subconscious. It runs your dreams when you're sleeping, in your REM cycle, you know, and then there's part of your conscious mind. You know, the part of your mind that tells you do that. Keep everything in its proper place. Take back control. Do that thing that you know you need to do to be successful long term, tomorrow. You'll be all right. You'll be all right. Breathe. Slow down. Slow down. Preach to myself. All this stuff is for me. Most people probably don't know. I watch these videos back after I make the video. Just listening for red flags, but also because I'm preaching to myself first. These concepts, these topics I talk about, they're coming from me. Although I'm listening to, like this morning, I was listening to Tim Ferriss on his podcast, but I'm listening for things from me. I'm feeding myself first, and then I share them. This is all regurgitated information. So, you know, don't think that I'm above you. Don't think I'm better than you. Not even close. Not even close. I struggle just like everybody else. But I know that, I have to be successful first. And that means just showing up to work on time, walking a little bit slower to the bathroom, trying to smile, do my best to have a conversation that has nothing to do with finance. Listen to someone, ask questions when they talk to me, and follow up on their questions and just listen. Respond with only questions. Don't try to give them an antidote. Don't try to solve their problems for them. Just listen, ask questions. Doing those small little things. Small little things. That's the video. Say it was good to you, boy.